Hello? Hello?
Yeah.
That looks that way.
You want to do it that way? Okay.
Yeah, that's gonna be good.
Do you want me to get on there and see?
How do you mess with the tilt on this? Is it this?
It's the actual handle. This.
Like tilting it down?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. There we go, that's good. That looks easier to read. Trying to avoid those upper lights.
There we go.
Cool.
Let me go ahead and put on this quick. They can hear you right now.
Hello, hello. All right.
Carlos, what's up, dude?
Not much, brother. What you doing?
And just hanging in there. I'm ready to get this good information, man. So let's do
Last
it.
time it ran me, I think, an hour and a half, so I've consolidated it down to the most important pieces to squeeze it into 60 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, pretty good. It's a little bit. Maybe I got my volume turned down. I'll turn my volume up a little bit.
Yeah, let me know if that sounds good. I just want to make
That's
sure
perfect.
when I step away, if you guys can still hear me, that's the main thing.
We'll shut up for us so I can be there as well.
Okay. Triple signature. Okay, I'm gonna limit my colors here. That one's okay. This is neat. Looks so high tech, but all it is a plexiglass.
I know, I was asking her, I was like, maybe we should put like something white behind it. And she's like, then you're asking for a regular whiteboard. I was like, yeah, I guess so.
That is true. You're basically building a whiteboard. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good right there. I like that. Well, the overridden. What is it? House? All those doctor shows
Yeah.
where they write on clear boards. Happy Friday, you guys. Lord knows I'm excited. I need to breathe for a couple days.
You got a lot of open houses this weekend.
Unable to stream Facebook.
Oh, I'm not running them. Our team is. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I get home, I've been staying up till midnight or so. You know, because even on a team, I mean, you have to write contracts and stuff, so
Yeah.
it's exhausting. And then when you start investing in houses, you start spitting out a bunch of them.
Yeah.
So,
So, before you get started here real quick, on the investment side of things, I know a lot of investors are, when they see the forbearance numbers, they're like, I might want to hold off, you know?
yeah,
And also with the rise in
Yeah.
interest rates, sales prices might take a dip, or, you know, they're just like,
yeah.
no one can foresee the future, but they're,
Yep.
you know, hedging their bets. Where do you see it, and where are you placing your chips?
I think a good deal is a good deal no matter what time of the year it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so we processed 3 different offers yesterday. And even we started at one number on what we were willing to pay for it before we even sent the offer out. Internally, we talked about it a couple times. And then it went down and down from there on what we're willing to offer to make the margins right to where it goes, okay, this is the number that I'm comfortable with that makes us say, I can do this.
Yeah.
No matter what.
No matter what market.
You know, we all get to those points where we get a decent deal and then a couple weeks later, something amazing pops on the market. You
Yeah.
just make sure that your equation for what equals a good deal on the front side is always the same. It's got to fit within a certain ratio. If your margins are right, it doesn't matter what time of the year. I'm not waiting until December.
Yeah.
You know, there are deals right now. You just have
Yeah.
to search for them.
Okay, I'm not gonna hold you back, because it's not gonna post on Facebook, so you can go ahead and get
Okay.
started.
Will it record?
Yes.
Can we post a recording?
We can.
That'll work. That will work.
And it's really nice.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll put this chat up there, so.
Perfect.
We do it every year.
I've been low carbing you guys for a week, so I feel skinny today. I don't look it, but I feel it. All right, you guys. Hi, how are you guys? I'm Carlos Colon. I'm the owner of Georgia Perimeter Homes. Today we're going to be talking about open houses. I'm going to tell you guys kind of the systems that we use to run open houses and what our experiences are. Like I mentioned a few minutes ago, previously this took about an hour and a half, so I'm going to break it down in a very easy to understand manner so it doesn't feel like an essay. It's a quick bullet point. So there's two ways I'm going to look at it. First way is going to be virtual, the virtual side of it, and then the physical side of it. That way you can understand the differences between the two on what we do. And then also, what does the timeline look like leading up to the open house? What should I be doing? And this would be, again, you can switch this around however you want. I'm just letting you know what works for us. Now, would I recommend doing this for every open house? If you're busy at the end of the day, there's no way you're going to be able to do everything that we're going to talk about today. However, if you are running open houses at a very high level, absolutely. If this is going to be one of your levers, what we call a lever is something that you're going to do at a very high level, it's going to bring you back that return, I strongly recommend that you run it this way because it's duplicatable and it is scalable. Scalable in this sense meaning you can do it every single week and you're going to get good results. But if you don't do it consistently, don't complain if one goes well and the other one doesn't. It's about doing it consistently. When you average them all out, you're going to have really good results. All right? So let's jump right in. So first thing, we're going to go ahead and bullet point virtual. And before I go into this, I do want to make sure that I cover everything that you guys want to cover. So are there specific bullet points to open houses that you guys want to make sure that I cover today? So if it's in it, great. I'm going to bullet point those down right now real quick. And then if it's not in it, I'll bullet point it and make sure that we hit it at some point. So I'm going to give you guys a couple seconds to respond. Jump in. What is it you want to make sure that I cover today if there's something specific that you want to know? I'll give you guys 10 seconds. Okay. All right. If nothing's on there. All right. Cool. All right. I'm going to go ahead and jump in then. I'm going to write in black if that's okay with you guys. Could you guys, let me make sure you guys can see it.
I'll look, and I can tell you.
Yeah, it's got a glare from mine, so I really can't tell. Okay. So the first thing is going to be virtual. All right. So what things are associated with first the virtual side of it? And this is where we talk about kind of in the world that we're in today, social media pushes, advertisements. Some people prefer to do boosts. It just depends on what you're doing. So we're just going to call it social media pushes. Okay. Reminder, I'm going to be bullet pointing the important parts. I'm going to break it down a little bit. We won't go deep into detail because we won't have enough time to cover them all. Now, my preference, ads, not boosts. Okay? They seem to present differently. Command has been amazing for this. For ads specifically. If you have questions on how to use that, I'm not the right person because I don't set it up. So someone else on our team does that. I know we don't do boosts at all anymore. We only do ads, okay? And we get leads from it, and the cost per leads are very low, okay? So make sure that you're understanding the difference. If you don't understand the difference between the two, check the calendar, go into a marketing class that someone will be teaching. Make sure that you ask that question. I want to know how to run ads on social media. Now, social media covers a lot of things, right? Facebook. We have, there's so many things, Snapchat at this point even.
You.
Instagram.
TikTok.
Yeah. Yeah, TikTok. Okay, and I'm sure there's,
Pinterest.
yeah, Pinterest, LinkedIn, MySpace. There's a lot. I mean, the list just keeps going. It really does. So I'm going to separate that from this next step, which is going to be, okay, Nextdoor. Nextdoor is an app specific to neighborhoods. Now, in order to post on Nextdoor, you're supposed to be part of that neighborhood. So you want to keep that in mind. You want to do that in advance to make sure that you can post. What you're doing here is you're going to be inviting the neighborhood to your open house. Okay, we'll talk about the timeline on when you do these things later. But make sure that you've downloaded this app and make sure that you've started playing with it so you know how to use it and what kind of information goes on there. And then also, if I were in your shoes, I would be adding myself to as many neighborhoods as I could as well. So it's not just, don't stick to that one neighborhood, stick to that one neighborhood and everything around it, if you can. All right, so this is going to be the way, one of the ways that you can speak directly to the neighbors in that neighborhood that are, using that same app, by the way, which is a lot of people. Of course, if you're in an elderly neighborhood, that may not be the case. That may not be the best way, which is why we diversify the way we do our open houses to make sure we hit pretty much all assets of it. All right, so Nextdoor social media pushes, those I keep separate. Next, I'm going to be doing 2 Facebook Lives during open house. Okay? So, during the open house, I'm set up, right? We run ours 1 to 4. So 3-hour windows is the other thing that we do. So what we do is we show up about 12 o'clock. We show up, set up. By about 12:30, 12:45, we should be all set up. And we're preparing now everything, turning the lights on, making sure that we're about to walk through in the video and everything's going to look fine. How am I going to present this video? And I want to do a true walkthrough. Now, let me preface this when I say true walkthrough. It depends on the property, right? And it depends on what is your call to action for that. Because the whole reason we market is, well, number one, marketing for presence, that's different than marketing for, I want more people to come through the door during this time, right? And that first one might be important for trying to get people through the door. And so if it's got a gorgeous kitchen, you might only stay in the kitchen and only talk about the kitchen if that's the big highlight to the whole house, and go, you guys will not believe this house. Check out this kitchen behind me. Come check it out. Here's the address. I'm going to be here for 3 hours. If you want to see this home personally or privately, please send me a message or call me at, boom, spit out your phone number, spit out your company, whatever the case might be, so that they go to you. Then the call to action is they're either texting you or calling you, or they're going to your website. All of those 3, any of those 3 are fine, right? Capture the lead is the important part. I do too, because Facebook Lives, especially specifically for Facebook, has a different presence than a regular video. I do one at the beginning, and then I do one at the end. Now, lives work well if you have a lot of friends. If you have 20 people on your Facebook, this is not going to work well for you. So key facts here, I'll dig a little bit into it. 5,000 is the maximum number of friends, supposed friends that you can have. Add. If I were you, I'm not necessarily trying to show or trying to add a whole bunch of realtor friends. I'm trying to add everyone else. Now there's 2 sides of it, right? Because if I'm truly trying to sell the house, there's 2 whole points to do an open house in the first place. Number 1, sell the house. Number 2, get a lot of leads from it, right? And an open house kills 2 birds with 1 stone. Okay, so realistically, yes, if I'm trying to sell the house, I want those realtors to be able to see it really well. And then number 2, if I want to balance to also push out to people that aren't real estate agents, that I want more leads from, then I want to add people that are not real estate agents. So just understand the difference between those 2, and then understand that you've got to have friends in order for this Facebook Live to work. Okay, if I were you, I wouldn't stop until I max out and cap it out at 5,000. Okay, and then at that point you'll have people, just depending on how you post, they'll defriend you, unfriend you, whatever the case might be, or you'll unfriend them, or 100 of those might be fake accounts, and then you keep replacing with better and better friends on that platform. Okay, now those 2 Facebook Lives are great. but I want to also record one recorded video. Recorded, I'm going to call it recorded/saved. Okay. The reason why I'm going to do that is because I want YouTube/Google presence. Okay. Facebook does not syndicate the same way to Google the same way YouTube does. All right, not just that, but we talked about there's two types of marketing. There's blanket marketing, which this would hit. Is YouTube going to sell that house? Probably not. But you having a video on YouTube that has your name in it and the area, like, you know, Fayetteville Homes or whatever the case might be, for sale, and that kind of deal, it will syndicate to Google. So the odds of someone running past that and accidentally running into your information might be good. Again, I'm not going to go into what you should do, what tags and all that kind of stuff. That's for a marketing class. So just understand, this is all in the virtual side, all things I would strongly encourage you to do, and then we'll go over the timeline. Okay, next. Circle, prospect, call the neighborhood. Okay? It's not just the neighborhood, by the way, it's also the neighborhoods around it. That's important. What does that mean? Let me be specific. I've got a house in the middle of a subdivision. On a certain day of the week, I want to reach out to every address within that subdivision, okay? And I'm going to call every phone number I can get. How you get that information is up to you, okay? I'm not going to go a whole lot into it. I'll tell you that there's a lot of different systems to use it, and it's just up to you on how you do that and how you gather that information. Lord knows I get in enough trouble, so I'm not going to tell you to do illegal stuff. So you want to call the neighborhood and you want to invite them to your event, okay? I'm going to call it an event because that's what it is. It's an event, either where you're inviting people to come to you and meet you or virtually meet you, one way or the other. And so just make sure that you understand that is I definitely want to be making calls. Why? Well, because when I go to door knock, which we'll talk about later, that neighborhood, some people may not be home at that time. So I've got to balance the two. I've got to make sure that I'm really covering this neighborhood. So when they see that sign, they hear my voice, they're putting all that together, they see my ads on Facebook, they see my Google or YouTube video posted, they see all the marketing we're doing for this house. What are they going to think if they're even remotely thinking about selling their house? Like, man, this person's working their tail off. Okay, now, older person that's not really on any of these social media sites probably won't know any different until you door knock them. Okay, that's the other reason why the physical side of it's so important. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to the physical side of it now. Before I do you have any questions about this part of it that I've covered so far? Yeah.
So I know that, especially on the virtual, some people, they have this opt-in scenario or like free virtual open house kind of thing.
Yeah.
Have you explored that path or thoughts?
So when you say free virtual open house, this is where I'm physically walking you through the open house.
Mm-hmm.
So I did cover one thing, right? Which is if your house has a one spectacular feature about it, you want to just highlight that feature. So the other question becomes, what if it doesn't have anything spectacular? It's just a regular, pretty average, in great shape house, right? Then I will do a walking tour in that situation, right? Because if I don't have anything that's going to make them say, wow, then I just want to have something to captivate them. And just be prepared, by the way, because nobody wants to just see a video of a house, okay? So this is where you've got to start to think about what you're going to talk about in advance. And as you do it more and more, you start to get comfortable with it, okay? Like, for example, the material that I'm covering today is great, but there's all this in between that I've got to fill in with conversation or how things are going. So, and I also want to entertain the people that are on the other end so they pay attention to what's happening. By the way, the reason why that's important is because if you captivate them and if they are watching you through Facebook Lives and videos, the next time you post another one, it'll ding them and let them know, hey, Chris is live again. Oh, cool. Yeah, Chris makes me laugh. I want to watch him, right? And then I'll remember, Chris is that real estate agent. Let's call him. Yeah, he's hilarious, or whatever the case might be, right? And so you've got to understand that part of this is generic marketing. This is your first I don't want to call it in person, but this is your first impression with people, okay? And so if it's a formal luxury home, maybe you don't want to be the laid back agent for that, right? But if it's your average price point, average, by the way, depending on your area, at that point, you may want to be able to relate to that price point, okay? When you're speaking, how fast, and the things that you say. So, does that answer your question? So I'm only walking through the home. If it doesn't have anything that makes me say, wow, so to say, then I really will do a walkthrough. Will I show you, I don't know, the garage? Well, I have before in the past. It just depends on the scenario. So, yes, I will. I just wouldn't do that if there's one thing, like if it's the master bedroom's the size of 2 or 3 bedrooms. Now I'm like, dude, this is not the living room.
Yeah.
This is the master. Do you want to see the rest of this house? And so that's the marketing pitch there. Okay, so it depends. So you'll market it differently depending on what that house has. So of course you've got to prepare for this well in advance.
Yeah.
All right? Any other questions related to the virtual side of things? Is this thing going? Yes? No? Maybe?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
I know somebody's talking.
Yeah? Okay, good. All right. I guess this is to erase. How far can I go over? All right, I'm about to erase this, and I'm going to go to the physical side of it, okay? Because I can't really stretch too far, and you guys still be able to read it. Well, I will erase it eventually. Yeah, some Windex or something, so it dries out. The physical side of it covers a lot of the things that we already do as real estate agents, but it also covers it on when I should do it, is what I want to piece together for you, because that's what a lot of agents get wrong. A lot of agents want to door knock and want to do all these things for their open houses, but then they run out of time to in the week, and so they don't get the results from that open house that they would have otherwise.
Hey, Carlos.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry, I just wanted to stick in one question before you go to the physical open house.
Go ahead.
So I love it, like how much you're hustling, like on each deal, like behind it, like all the ads and the circle prospecting, like one or two neighborhoods, like surrounding neighborhoods, like that's so awesome.
You leverage every listing, absolutely.
I love it so much because I think that's like how you're building yourself up. So that's so cool.
So
one thing, go ahead. I was just getting to the question because I know I'm kind of rambling. So the question is, like, how do you, like, what kind of time investment is all of that? Like what you said is a lot behind each one.
You'll see it. When I go into the timeline, I'll kind of cover what that entails. The one that takes the longest time is door knocking. There's no question about it. And we're only going to plan for 1 to 2 days of door knocking through the week. The rest of it really depends on whether you're a team or a single agent or have assistants, right? Because a lot of times they can prep some of that stuff for you, and all you have to do is pick it up and go. If you're a single agent, you have to design this stuff, or you have to pay someone to do it, and then you have to go and deliver it. At that point, you have to have it printed, and then you go do it. So there is a lot of time on the prep side of it if you're doing it all yourself, and so we'll cover that in the timeline that we'll cover after we go the physical. But the one that takes the longest is definitely door knocking, and if I'm door knocking that day, I can pretty much know 100% at least half of my day is gone. At least half of my day is gone at that point. Even if it's raining, by the way. For those of you that haven't been here for more than 6 months, I mean, when I was door knocking heavily, you'd see me online in an umbrella in the rain, and I've got flyers in my hand and I'm still going, and I'm laughing and cutting up about it on social media. So just because, again, what does that say about you as an agent? Okay, and so no matter what, stick to it. The consistency is what's important. Oh, it's raining today. I don't want to do it. Okay, well, no one else is. So good luck getting those leads. So you've got to make sure that and you can swap and replace and that kind of stuff. I just stick to my schedule, and I was cutting up about it before the class started, but I'm like, I look at my next day the night before. So like teaching this class today, I was like, okay, yesterday I'm sitting down, I get home, I'm up in the middle of the night just working still, And I'm like, okay, cool. That class is at that time, so I know what my schedule looks like, and I know when I should leave to be there, whether it be physical or virtual. So just having your schedule and planning these things out in advance makes a world of a difference on the consistency behind it. But we'll talk about a little bit more about the time involved during the timing of it. That answer your question?
Yeah, great. Thank you. That was perfect.
Yeah. And so what I was going to mention that you brought up, which is a really good point. Okay. I need you to treat every open house like you just moved to that state and you're starting your business from ground zero. Does that make sense? And so I need you to understand that is your whole mindset behind the whole thing needs to be, I've lived in Georgia however long. I just picked up and moved, and I moved to Texas. I'm new to Texas. I've got a real estate agent license. This is the only thing I've got. I've got no deals on the table. What am I going to do to leverage everything I can about this one listing during this week to be able to get as many leads as I can at one time? And so if you keep that mindset about it, you're probably on the right track. All right, next. Physical. Okay, these are things that I'm physically going out and doing. All right, so the first one is definitely going to be door knocking. Okay, now there's also, when we talk about door knocking, there's inside the neighborhood and there's outside. All right, and this all depends on how much time you're committing to it. That's why I say stick to your schedule. This is obviously the most important. But let me tell you this, what happens when you have a house that's not in a subdivision? What do? You have a choice. You gotta be here. What if that door knocking neighborhood only has 10 houses in it? It's really small. I'm gonna go to every subdivision around it that has a similar price point or something maybe just above it. Maybe they want to downsize or move a family or friend or relative around them. I'm gonna door knock them. Remember, there's selling the house, then there's getting more leads. Okay? These actions are lead generation. These are lead generating activities that we're talking about here. So make sure that you understand the difference between both. And if you want to put numbers behind it, you can. When we first started doing this, our big numbers were we door knock 200 to 300 homes per open house. Of course, we don't have the time to do that right now. So we've got, the runner will go a certain number of doors down. When you start scaling up certain activities, you don't have time for. But this is all about what you're going to do consistently and to what level. And that's completely up to you and your business on how deep you want to go with this. Now, so inside the neighborhood, outside the neighborhood, and then we have one more that I want to talk about, which is going to be door knocking businesses. Okay? Me personally, I like small mom and pops because I go in, I hand them the flyer, I'm introducing myself, I want to have a real estate conversation with you. Okay? The nice part is business owners typically, obviously, they have their finances together for the most part, hopefully. And they're a good contact for you to be able to, in the future or right then and there, put your information there at their business. So now you're capturing more leads with their clients coming through. Now you're not capturing leads. Let me rephrase that. You're getting more presence. So now their clients become your clients. All right? So can I drop my cards here? Can I leave some flyers here? We've got an open house. And it's not just about selling this home. I want this to be, come ask me real estate questions. So my flyers that I print out, are they going to be different? What I put in businesses versus what I hand out to the neighborhood? They probably should. But if I wanted something generic that worked for everyone, I would probably say, hey, come ask me anything you want about real estate. Open house, boom, 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 this date, this time, right? And so then we're coming in. And so that question would probably get a lot more presence than just, hey, open house, come see it. Because it doesn't really tell people, what's the call to action. So ask me anything you want. How's the market doing? Get a line, something that's going to hook people into why they should talk to you or why they should be there. All right? Next. Something that people a lot of times do not use correctly, the check-in sheet. All right, this has a couple purposes. Number one, if that's your lead capture. And number two, If something goes wrong at that open house and something expensive goes missing, if you don't do this, you don't even know who was through your house or through their house. Let's be honest there. What are those sellers going to look at me and say? And so you've got to protect yourself the best way possible and go, here's the list I've got, boom. All right, so we've got to be able to be prepared for that. And the other part, the most important part is definitely follow-up, right? Follow up to my leads that are unrepresented. And also, if I want to sell that house, right, I want to follow up and go, hey, what'd your clients think? You know, what's some feedback? What are you guys talking? You thinking anything? Can I make it worthwhile? You know, you thinking the price is a little high? Rooms, are they the right size for you guys? All right, so make sure that this happens. When I do this, the first 3 are fake. Whoa, fake. There we go. The first 3 on that list are fake. First and last name, so name, telephone number, email. And so yes, sometimes I bring 2 to 3 different colored pens, and I write it in different handwriting styles if I can on those. But I want to set a presence for, or establish an expectation of everyone fills this out, no exceptions, okay? And so if you walk in and you say, well, no, they're with me. No, you're filling it in. I'm responsible for this open house. I'm responsible for anything that happens in here, not you. So everyone needs to sign in. So that's important, okay? And so that'll give you a really good reason to protect yourself during these open houses. The house is vacant, you know, it's a little hard to push that, but I've never had pushback when we've talked about that, by the way. And then there's sometimes, and it's unavoidable, will they fill it out? Sometimes they'll write a fake name or a fake address or whatever. But the other part of it is, if they didn't fill in a phone number, when they've gone and they're walking out, fill it in with a fake one and star it, because the people after them that come in will see, okay, everyone's done it, cool, okay, well, I'm just doing what everyone else did. Assimilation is an unconscious human nature. So you want to make sure that you've established that for everyone that comes in through that door. All right. Next. Circle prospect. Okay, and this is the actives sheet. Okay. A lot of people don't know what this is. I will take that house. That house is a $250,000 house. I'm going to circle prospect. I'm going to go into Georgia MLS or whatever MLS I'm using, and I'm going to go out however far I can to get about 20 houses. I want it to be similar to that price point. If it's $250 that open house is, it's likely that if a buyer's coming in unrepresented and they don't like that house, they're looking at everything around that 200 to possibly 280, maybe 290. So I'll go 200 to 300. And I'm going to go, okay, everything within 3 miles of here, okay? So anything that'll give me anywhere between 20 to possibly 40 listings, and I'm going to print the 4-up view. If you don't know what that is, go into Georgia MLS, don't hit Paragon, just go into a search, single family detached, if that's your, what the neighborhood is, and then you'll do a circle around that main home, type in the price range, and then at that point, once you hit search and go, there's a couple options at the top right, and one of them is 4-up. That'll give you how many bedrooms, bathrooms, that'll give you, does it have a basement, does it have a pool, what's the price point, it'll give you a lot of information very quickly. And then what I also do is I go map view, and then I copy that, paste it into Paint, and I print that off. So the front of it has a map view too, so we can go, hey, all these homes are around this area, so, and I want you to understand the importance of this. A buyer walks through the door, yeah, we've been looking for homes, we just haven't found anything yet. Great, are you guys working with a real estate agent? No, not at all. We just got pre-approved the other day. Perfect. You spend the next 15 minutes walking them through. I don't know, the rooms are too small. Hey, that's not a problem, I completely understand. You pull out your sheet. This is a sheet for you, not for them. You pull out this sheet and you go, have you guys seen these homes? Bam. What did I just turn this into? A buyer's consultation, okay? Right then and there. And so we're going, this has the rooms that you're looking for, the number of rooms, or whatever the conversation goes like. Hey, what's your schedule today, you guys? You guys pretty free? I'm done here at 4 o'clock. I can meet you guys there at 5:30 if I can set it up. I got your name, your phone number. Great. I'm going to go ahead and lock this in, and I'm going to give you guys a text as soon as I confirm it, okay? This gives you power to be able to do what you need to do right then and there and convert quickly, okay? Next. This is more of a question mark because every agent's different in the way you run it. Do I have food? Do I have drinks? Do I do giveaways? Okay? Now, with this one, giveaways, I recommend if you can do like a lender or some kind of, basically a partner is the important part, that pays this for you, or they come to the open house with you, okay? And so that you do dual marketing for both purposes. And so this is completely up to you how you do it. When we first got started, see Chris, when we first got started, the first thing we would do is almost at every open house, we would bake cookies, fresh cookies at the open house. And so I'm gonna tell you right now, there's nothing sweeter and stronger than the smell of fresh cookies. So we'd, buyers would pull in, or potential clients, they'd get out, and as they get close to the front door, you'd see their eyes kind of open up and start smiling. That's, the creating that happiness creates easing vibes, makes it an easy transition to start having a conversation where they don't feel like they just walked into a tank of sharks. So this is completely up to you and how you want to do it. All right, so when we did cookies, we would do cookies, lemonade with ice and cups, and then some water bottles stacked in a triangle, okay? And then we would have details about that home, and then we'd have details about us stacked there at the table, whether it be the kitchen counter, it just depends. And I spread it out enough to where multiple people can be in there at one time and be okay. All right, next. All right, and this. We talked briefly about the word event. All right, this is important, okay? Am I running this as a regular open house, or am I running this as an event, okay? The reason I mention this is because sometimes in our open houses, let's say it's a 55 and older community and it's gated. Am I really allowed to door knock? It just depends on the community, right? But if I run it as an event and I go, hey, we're having a neighborhood get together at this house. I want to take the opportunity for all the neighbors to meet. And so you get that approval by the HOA or whatever the case might be to run an event at one of their locations there at the property, right? And so as long as you got your homeowners and you speak to the association, also when we're talking condos in Atlanta, there are very important ways to do this to still get results. Okay, so we did we ran a wine and cheese event, okay, at the Stacks community in Atlanta. Worked really well, met a lot of people in the parking lot, going down the hallways and stuff, and it was great, had a really good time. And so it's very important that you decide how you're going to run this, depending on that particular home, that particular area, and how you prefer to run it. But make sure that you're looking at these as two completely different things and two different ways to lead generate, okay? And so that get the same task accomplished. All right, so those are the main things that I want to cover for what to do. Now we have to cover the when. Any questions? I'm about to erase this in a minute, by the way, so let me know if I can. I'll give you guys a few seconds. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, this will work. It's a lot easier. All right, I'm going to erase this and move on to the timeline.
I always thought the Stacks was a cool neighborhood. You sold one in there recently?
Yeah, we sold a 1-1 on the 4th floor, $360,000 cash actually, and
wow.
Yeah, and it's like I don't know, 800 square feet total.
Wow.
So yeah, very, very interesting, and I loved it. It was really, really neat. Not for me personally, but it's there for somebody. And you get into a lot of different types of properties where other things are important. Like, hey, how many like condos like that? How many parking spots come with this? Are they deeded parking spots? And then are they? Do they have a charger for an electric vehicle? When you're talking about downtown Atlanta or any downtown area like that, that might be a question, especially for condos, that comes up a lot.
Hey, I had a question at the end of this about a non-related to the open house, but I know you said you were active in the Middle Georgia area. I saw something with FMLS and Middle Georgia kind of partnering up on some stuff, and I really wasn't sure what it meant. Wondered if you knew about it, but didn't want to interrupt this. But I just thought I'd
Yeah,
throw
I
that
have
out.
no clue. I know that, I do know that, something, when you post to Georgia MLS and FMLS, there used to be this program, the syncing program, when you're entering a listing. You used to have to pay for it, now it's free through Georgia
Oh,
MLS.
okay.
I know that, but I don't know if that has any relation to mid-Georgia MLS.
Right.
So, and also understand your costs if you're going into, listing in FMLS, because it sounds like not much, 0.00001%. Okay, great. But at closing, when you're paying $300-$400 per closing to pay for FMLS, was that marketing worth it? So, just
Right.
depends on the property. All right, so next, timeline. This is probably the most important part, guys. And this is where we talk about how it affects your schedule and what you should probably be doing. I'm gonna start from Thursday, Friday, the week before. Of course, Saturday, Sunday, okay?
And when do you key in so what day do you key when does it go live? And then when do you start your marketing? Is that like the same day or
It
what?
depends, every property is different. In a perfect world, it would go live this Thursday right here, and we would do the open house that very weekend.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
And I'm gonna list this on Thursday, and then open houses will be that weekend.
Okay.
So that's a perfect world. Realistically, you have 6 houses go live that Thursday. You gotta pick and choose, unless you're gonna run 6 open houses that weekend.
Right.
So it just depends.
Gotcha.
So we're starting from, this is my open house date. Let's pretend like it's either Saturday or Sunday, doesn't matter which one, okay? Our planning for this weekend starts the previous Thursday and Friday. Can you guys see that? Yeah. The previous Thursday and Friday, what I'm doing is I'm deciding open houses for next weekend. Okay? Now, the scheduling part of this, just so you understand, is if I want to do this at a really high level, this is how I want to do it, okay? So I'm doing it consistently. This is one of my big levers, okay? So Thursday and Friday before, I'm deciding for my open house for the next weekend. Of course, those same days, I also have events coming up. If I'm doing this, I'm also doing open houses already on these days, right? But I did the planning for this a different time. We're talking about this open house right here, okay? Or 2 open houses, depending on what you're doing. All right, so I'm deciding on the open house for next weekend and, watch, prepping marketing material. Do you see how important that is? Get to that middle Wednesday and tell me you want to prep an open house for that weekend. I'm going to laugh at you if you want to run it right. Because if you want to run it right, you prep for that the week before. Thursday, Friday the week before. You have to, because you're going to be door knocking here in the middle of the week. You've got regular clients who already have under contracts. If you're a single agent, if you don't do it this way, you're going to run yourself ragged. So you've got to be consistent with what you're doing. We're going to eliminate this, right? Because I'm running open houses this weekend. And that is not related to what I'm doing next weekend, all right? So I'm busy Saturday and Sunday, okay? Next, what am I doing? On Monday, I'm running my social media ads. Okay? I'm also doing my next door post.
What do you put behind those ads? Like what kind of money? What kind of reach are you trying to get? What kind of target? Like, just speak a little bit about
I
that.
wish I could tell you. And I'll tell you why. Is because I just control the budget for the month for marketing. So if I remember correctly, we started with $10 per ad. And I think we might be at $20 or $25 to $30 an ad now. And it also depends on what house it is, what area, how hard I want to push. And so, I hope that gives you a little range. We don't usually go more than that $10 to $30 mark.
Yeah, that's pretty standard. That's what they tell you, do 10 or 20. So you're doing pretty much just a regular ad. Okay, gotcha.
Yep. Okay, that Tuesday, I'm going to go ahead and do my circle prospecting calls. So that Tuesday, I just did the next door post, right? Anybody that's on there probably saw it. Now I'm calling them all. They're in that area. So they heard from me or saw me in some way, shape, or form on Monday on one of these. Okay. And by the way, this is also when I'm posting, when I'm doing social media ads, and I need to mention this, I forgot to mention this. I'm also posting to groups, the free stuff, local to that area. Okay, so the discussion page, hey, I wanted to invite the community to this event, to my event that we're having, blah, 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 ask me any real estate questions, right? So it's something related to that, but I'm posting to those free groups on there as well. So it's not just that neighborhood that saw me, it's the community. And then I'm circle prospecting now to that area. If you're active on any kind of media, you saw me on Monday, now I'm calling you on Tuesday, and I definitely go in order, go that neighborhood, and then once you're done with that, you work your way out. But this is gonna be my lead generation for Tuesday. Do you see that? So remember, lead generation every day, if you're doing it right, 2 to 3 hours every day minimum. If you wanna be real big, do a lot more than that. So that's the way I would run that. Now, Wednesday, Thursday, this is when I'm door knocking. This is important. I'm not doing it Monday, Tuesday, because by that time, you forgot me when you get to Saturday, Sunday. So on Wednesday, Thursday, I'm door knocking, doing all my door knocking, so that you can go ahead and start playing, oh yeah, you know what, I may or may not come. I'll let them with a flyer, right? And I told them, we got into conversation. The key to door knocking is meeting people face to face. That's where you make money, okay? And so now, this is also when I'm going to those businesses. If you're doing this right, this is probably going to take up most of your day on both days, okay? So I'm door knocking the whole community, or at least that whole neighborhood, if I can. And then I'm going to go to businesses as well. So I might door knock the whole community on Wednesday, or I might go half and half. First half of Wednesday and Thursday, I'll go to businesses or that community, and vice versa. That afternoon, I might go to businesses. Just switch it up. So those are the 2 days we do that. Then we get to Friday. I'm going to call you again. Not only that, but I'm also, at that point, once I'm calling again to see if I didn't hit you on Tuesday, I'm going to see if I can hit you on Friday. Okay? Also, if I covered the whole neighborhood, now let's go ahead and circle prospect a little wider. Let's go a couple of the neighborhoods outside that neighborhood on that. All right? And then there's another one for that same day. I'm going to post again to Nextdoor. Reminder, I want the community to come in. Come meet me, get out of the house, ask me anything you want about real estate, however you want to preface the conversation. So, I posted to the community on Monday. I ran social media ads, paid ads for the week, okay? And then I also posted to the groups, and I also posted to my personal Facebook and business page, and I tagged people that live nearby as much as I could. That way I'm getting to their friends list too on social media. Then I'm going ahead and circle prospecting calls on Tuesday, door knocking the neighborhood and businesses on Wednesday and Thursday, circle prospecting calls again on Friday, Nextdoor reminder again on Friday. Then I'm running the open house on Saturday and Sunday. This is where I do my 2 Facebook Lives and my 1 recorded video. Okay? And by the way, one of these could be what you use for that. You don't have to record 3 different ones. So you could just do whatever video you want to do right here. Just use one of these as that and just save it and then use it for later for your YouTube stuff. Okay? Now, let's see, how are we doing on time? Not bad, 8 minutes. All right, questions. What can I help with? What do you have questions about? What do you not understand? Opinions or, things that you're thinking about doing that may or may not work, or you want to know, have we ever tried it? Open to anything. I got 5 minutes, then I got an appointment. All right, so what's the key here? The results. In a perfect world, if I've got 5 or more people coming through every one of my open house, I'm doing really well, okay? We've had situations where we've done all this, and we really have had 45 plus come through. Especially if the price is right, the house is right, it's crazy, absolutely crazy. Remember, it's a huge seller's market. So when you get a really good house, leverage the crap out of it. What do you think the neighbors are gonna think when 45 people, or even 20 people are showing up back to back to back at that open house? That guy's doing something right, or that girl's doing something right, okay? And so just keep those things in mind when you're running your open house to know neighbors are nosy. They pay attention, okay? When you put a sold sign on it, they pay attention. So that's important to understand, all right? So if you guys don't have any questions, I'll give it another 60 seconds, and then I'll go ahead and log off. But thank you guys for paying attention and just kind of doing this. If you guys have any questions about any of this, please reach out to me or reach out to my team, and we'll be sure to help you with it. And a lot of the social media, of course, goes into marketing, so we don't have enough time to cover that stuff here. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm gonna race this thing.
It's over. I had to take a call for 2 minutes, and then you got to the. I was on a whole roller coaster with you, man. You did it. That was awesome.
Yeah, the only thing that you missed right here is the goal is 5, and then in some cases we've had 45 or more people show up to an open house running the system. And so just make sure that you run it right and make sure that those neighbors are paying attention, because if you have a lot of people coming through that open house, the neighbors know, they pay attention. And that's what you want them to say is, man, that person's doing something right. They're doing something right. If I go to sell or know anybody looking to sell, that's where I need to go to.
So you know what that sounds like? That sounds like 50 listings a year at least. So if you have got one cooking, then you're gonna have another one in the pipeline from all that work right there. How could you not get another listing out of all of that?
And that's the mindset that we're talking about, which is if you were to pick up and move to a new state, that's the idea. What questions you guys have? Anything? No? But that's the idea, is you're right, you can turn one house into your entire business. Grow it from that one. You only need one.
That's what I'm trying to get. But so that's awesome. And I think like, okay, well, what am I gonna do today? Like, what am I gonna target today? Like that kind of does it for you. You know exactly what you're gonna be targeting. Like if you got a listing and you go around that. Period.
And this is why it's so important. When we talk about lead generation, people ask, man, I'm doing these 3 things, but I'm not seeing results. Do you see how busy just that one lead generation source should keep me if I'm doing it right? So if you're doing, the maximum should be 3 really good ones, okay? This is just one lead generation source, okay? And so from one lead generation source, or one activity, right? This is how busy that keeps you. If you start stacking it with 5 different things that you're doing, I'm not sure that you're gonna do any of them well. And so that's what you gotta understand. There's only so many hours in the day. Be consistent. And then once you have the money and the results to tweak or change, then do so. Don't tweak and change until you know for a fact you've run it long enough to know I should have had some results by now.
That was awesome. It's almost like, I don't know, like cooking or something. Like the prep work is all the work. Like the open house, we didn't even hardly talk about that part. Like it's just like, okay,
that's exactly right. We talk about that internally. Right. The open house is not what's important. It's everything before it.
Right.
Absolutely everything before it. If you do that right, I don't know how your open house can go wrong, because I could have picked up at least 2 to 3 leads anywhere, at any day along that entire week, just for that weekend.
That's amazing. And then you got to call all the people like from your social media. Like there's a ton of
Yeah.
leads pouring in from that. You
Yeah.
didn't even talk about that part. You got to call all those people.
Do one thing and do it really, really well. You know, and so my personal opinion is do 1, 2, maximum 3 things and master those 3 things. And if one of them really isn't working, then replace that one thing, but don't make it 4 or 5 or 6. That's where people start to fail. All right?
Good
I got to
advice.
prep for my next meeting, you guys. I appreciate y'all. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
tuning in, and you know, let me know if I can help. All right? See y'all. I don't even know how to shut this thing off.